Whew, we got fire in the title right there. Okay, before you light up the comment section, I will explain why slapping LDAC doesn't make anything sound better. First thing in the review actually, so bear with me for at least 1 minute. But at the same time, we're gonna talk about these new Soundpeats releases here, so buckle up and let's get started. Selamat pagi, good morning everyone, Kenneth here, and today let me start by getting this out of the way. The naming of the latest Soundpeats sucks. I mean, we get the Air 3, Air 3 Pro, Air 3 Deluxe, that's perfect. But now, Air 3 Deluxe HS? That's getting out of hand. Anyway, this will be my review of all the Air 3 half-in-ears. Actually, I totally don't understand why they have to release so many models in such a short time, but we'll see that sound quality goes much deeper than just LDAC. Before we start though, I wanted to let you know that everything said in this video is my own honest opinion. If you appreciate that, do help me out by buying through the affiliate links, or if you prefer to support me directly, your super thanks will be much appreciated. It's just beside the like button. And with that aside, let's get started into the most important thing, the sound quality. As I promised, let's talk about LDAC first. We know that it's one of the high-res codec that's supposed to, let's say, closely match wired performance, but it's still wireless and it's still Bluetooth, which means it's limited by bandwidth. Let's start with one thing LDAC is good at. That's the fact that it's free. It's part of the Android open source project, which means if you have Android Oreo or Android 8 and above, you will have LDAC built in. This is in contrast with aptX Adaptive and its derivatives like HD, upcoming lossless for example, that needs a licensing fee to use, which is why it's usually not supported in phone chips not named Qualcomm. But LDAC is not alone. Actually, there is another high-res codec called LHDC, which is developed by a Taiwanese company, Savitech. Same universal support for Android 10 and above this time, although in my previous testing, I found that LDAC has better latency and is more widely available. So these two are similar in, how it works. So what I'm going to say is true for both of them, and to some extent, actually, it also applies to aptX HD and Adaptive as well. Back to LDAC now. So it's got 3 bitrate options, 330, 660, and 990 kilobit per second. That last one is actually one of the highest and nears the limit of data transfer capabilities for Bluetooth. And we'll just assume that you've got good enough music file to accommodate this. Well, sorry not sorry, in real life you don't necessarily hear the difference. In fact, I've never found any meaningful difference between the highest LDAC and supposedly the lowest codec SVC, which is actually the #1 reason why I put the title as is. But let's move on to the second reason, and that is range. Wireless data transfer always slows down the further you go away, and to make LDAC practical, it needs to be adaptive. So it adjusts the bitrate according to how far you are. That's why you have 330, 660, 990. Problem is, at the lowest rate, it is about the same as SBC, and at the highest, which we want for supposedly better sound quality, in my experience, I can hear audio cuts when you have even one wall between your phone and your earbuds. Let's say the phone is in the living room, you go to the bathroom, just 5 meters away and you already have audio cuts. And finally, we come to the third reason, battery life. The more data you send, the more processing power it needs, and so battery life suffers. It's just physics, and we've seen this time and time again. In the case of OG Air 3 and Deluxe here, we have the efficient Qualcomm QCC3040 that scored an impressive 6 hours of playtime on AAC. And let's not forget that these earbuds are super tiny. But once we use aptX Adaptive though, expect a full 2-hour cut, which leaves you with only 4 hours of playtime left. Now, as for the Air 3 Deluxe HS here, we see the departure from QCC3040 and we got 5 hours, possibly 6 hours on AAC actually, and just below 3 hours and a half on LDAC. Now my question, is that battery life sacrifice worth the audio improvement? Like I said, I can't hear any difference myself, so it's definitely not worth it for me. That's why I always said in my videos, stick with the basic codecs. But for those of you who can hear it, is it worth the 2 hours battery hit? You tell me in the comments. These 3 big reasons are actually some of the fundamental things that we were trying to improve over the years. In the early days, one AirPods knockoff I reviewed was only able to play music for 2 hours with basic codec. And to be honest, 4 hours on aptX Adaptive isn't that bad. We've gone a long way. But now if we have LDAC that generally consumes more battery, I just don't think that's worth it at this point. Anyway, I always say this, but I'll say it again. Driver quality and tuning will always be more important than codec. But here is an interesting turn of events. Usually, earbuds that support LDAC has an upper tier integrated chip that produce better sound than those without. So you see why we perceive better sound here? It's not because of LDAC per se, but because the chip just has better stuff in it. And this is actually the case with the Air 3 Deluxe HS that sounds better than the other Air 3 variants. And you heard that right, the Air 3 Deluxe HS is the ultimate half-in-ear Soundpeats ever released. No price increase, but it carries the improved case quality and battery upgrade from the Deluxe, and now it's got a chip upgrade for that sound. It still feels a bit expensive at retail, $50, but when you can find it between $35 to $40 or below, that is actually a good deal. Now, how does it sound better exactly? Firstly, in the app, as clunky and bare bones as it is, we've got a 10-band EQ instead of a 5-band we have on the OG Air 3 and Air 3 Deluxe. This means we have more granular control to get the sound you really like. If you notice, I never talk about the default sound here on the HS because I felt like it is lacking a lot of bass, and that's exactly what I fixed with this EQ, and the result? It sounds amazing. Comparing this to the AirPods Gen 2 as a baseline, I can comfortably say that the Air 3 Deluxe HS sounds better. In comment by Yoasobi, the female vocals are not as in your face as the AirPods, but it is still very prominent in the center of the mix. It sounds soft and full, enveloped by instruments spreading out nicely to the side, whereas on the AirPods the soundstage just felt more compressed. But most importantly, the Deluxe HS reaches more to the mid-sub-bass region, something that is almost missing on the AirPods. All in all, it's got a balanced tuning with nice bass kick and smooth treble that never sounded harsh on the Deluxe HS. But how does it compare to the OG Air 3 and Air 3 Deluxe? I'll be calling them the OGs because they both have the same earbuds down to the sound, and I liked them in the past, but then I never really had a high expectation because I know if I want better sound quality, then I would get any of the other in-ear models. And now that I have the Deluxe HS, I can see two immediate shortcomings, or actually here. First one is bass. While it is strong, stronger than the Deluxe HS even EQ'd up to the max, it has some mid-bass bloat that overpowers the instruments. The second is the upper mids. I just don't know how to explain it, but it's got certain harshness to it that, it doesn't sound natural at all and it can't be EQ'd out. And aside from all that, in general, it doesn't have the better definition that the Deluxe HS has. This affects alternative rock songs in particular, for example, like we used to by A Rocket to the Moon. When the full band comes in, the OG Air 3 feels more crowded even though the bass works great. And taking another one of their song, Baby Blue Eyes, I can confirm that clearly the Deluxe HS is superior. It's got a smoother and more pleasing presentation than the compressed OGs. Pop songs like Coin by IU sounded good on both, but I still prefer the less bloated Deluxe HS, although the upper treble for this song needs to be turned down a bit. The OG Air 3 on the other hand, while has stronger bass response, results in a more boomy sound and more peaky vocals and drums also, which could be more tiring on longer listening periods. Same thing actually with Fancy by Twice. Stronger bass but harsher treble on the OG, whereas the Deluxe HS here has fuller vocals and just enough bass, not as strong, but it is, better overall. Build quality wise, I really do think these Deluxe variants are better. They have a glossy finish, but so far they don't scratch yet, so that's pretty nice to see. I've actually been tossing these all over the place to see if they hold up. And pairing / reset button here is nice and tactile. The LEDs are helpful, and I guess the only thing that I can complain about the Deluxe HS is the app support that's extremely sluggish, especially when customizing your own EQ. It'll take a few more seconds before it comes into effect. And also it's been a long time design, I want to say flaw, but with this earbuds, ever since the True Air 2 times, if you handle it like this, you have the possibility to accidentally touch anything, because the touch sensor not only is on the logo but also is around it. So what can you do to mitigate this is just to hold by the handle. And I've got one more problem I've experienced only with the Deluxe HS, and that is some occasions where left earbud would sound louder than the right, so the balance shifts to the left. Surprisingly, I cannot fix this with the reset, but switching between EQs does the trick and it brings it back to normal. But another most important thing is support on Soundpeats iOS app, because you know, it used to work the first time I unboxed it, but there is a firmware update. And so I installed the firmware update and the app couldn't detect this anymore. So yeah, app support really could see a lot of improvements. Anyway, let's check out the gaming latency test now, then followed by the call test. And there's one thing I wanted to say here is if you're gaming, SBC is going to be the best codec with the lowest latency. And that is what I'll be testing here. So let's check it out right now.
Game mode. Game mode. Game mode.
Recently, Planner IEMs has taken the internet by storm, but what exactly is a planner and why is it good?
Game mode.
There's 3 IEMs we're going to review today, talk about the pros and cons so you'll know if these stuff is the right choice for you. So get comfy.
Alright, so welcome to the microphone test, everyone. This is with the Air3 Deluxe HS that you are listening to right now. And we are out in my usual recording, street, and there's a lot of cars and motorcycles. Actually, now that this is hop in ear, I can finally realize that this street is pretty noisy. But yeah, what do you think of the sound quality? Does it catch my voice well? We'll compare it to another just updated benchmark of the test, the AirPods Pro 2. And then you can see how the Air 3 performs, which is pretty excellent, to be honest, in my mic test comparison video. Okay, so here we are with the benchmark of the test, the AirPods Pro 2. What do you think of the sound quality? Can you hear my voice being patched clearer or the noise on the background here being cancelled a little bit more? Tell me what you think down in the comments below. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. If you want to watch more, I recommend checking out this microphone test on the top right here. And also, if you're looking for any other earbuds, my recommendations this year, I recommend this video. Okay, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kenneth, signing out.